for this. Did you really know who I was? Come into the track or spiders. Get mixed to the tip of the fiber. Rock burn to the roof of the fire.
He's kind of mellow with a D. In a place to be through over Sundays. Real sexy. Melo D, officially taking over. Over Sunday, into the side. Oh, y'all a bunch of crooks, huh? A bunch of crooks.
Second and third grade. One of my friends, Brian, at the elementary school we were at, his older brother George was, I think he was in 8th or 9th grade at the time, and he actually had turntables. So he used to actually make us mixtapes of songs to, like, you know what I'm saying, like something like this is like, you know, funk and like Nucleus and like early electro, like Kraftwerk style records like that. So he was making mixtapes of these songs, and my friend Brian used to bring his brother's mixtape to school. And this is like, you know, ghetto blaster days, like, so we still have our little boom boxes or whatever with our cardboard to dance on. And so this was the first time I was hearing songs playing consecutively mixed. And you know, as a youth, you don't really have a good grasp of how something like that happens. I'd never seen actual turntables in a mixer. And so I was like, how is he doing this? You know, how is he getting all these songs? So I knew all the songs, you know, about just like, how are they transitioning so seamlessly from record to record, you know, with just one flow. I was like, that's fresh, you know, because back in the day I was just recording songs on cassette, letting the songs run out, you know. And so that's what caught my ear initially. And then one of the first records I bought was Malcolm McLaren, Do You Like Scratching? And if you're familiar with the album, on the back side, it actually has a picture of his studio with turntables and a mixer, and I kind of put two and two together, and I was just like, oh, okay, so this is how they're doing it. They've actually got a device that is actually, and they've got two turntables playing the record. So that's where I kind of like figured it out. And then moving forward, like through the 80s, there was this is back in the mobile DJ days. There were several mobile groups that were sprouting up kind of around my area, which is Cerritos, where I was born and raised. And you know, these are the guys that were doing, again, these are guys that are like 4 or 5 years my senior at the time. And these are the guys that were doing like a lot of the local, we used to have like hall parties back in the day, like at a big like warehouse, and just like, you know, 18 and over style events. And then like high school dances were the big thing back then. So, you know, back in the 80s, like a lot of these guys, they were the entertainment for those type of events, the mobile DJs. So that's when I actually saw it live. And the first guy I ever saw live was, he's an original beat junkie member, DJ Curse, back in my high school. This is like 86, 85, 86. And that's the first time I ever saw a pair of like Technics 1200s, a Newmark DJ mixer, which was like pretty much the industry standard at the time. And that's when I was just like, I had been collecting the records like on various mixtapes, and I had like third and fourth generations of mixtapes from other mobile DJs like in my area that I just kind of fell into my lap. And you know, I had amassed a small record collection of just all the songs that were popular like in that genre, so to speak, back in the day. So when I saw the turntables, I was basically like tugging on my mom and dad's shoulder and sleeve every year for like birthday, any occasion, Christmas, if I got straight A's in school. So a little bit at a time, you know what I mean? Like the way we grew up in my house, like we didn't have a lot of money, but we were cool. But I mean, equipment's expensive, you know, especially back then. You know, they bought me my first Technique 1200 in '88, and then I used to basically, like all my cassettes, I have my cassette player, and I just push play on the cassette deck. And I had an old receiver that was all knobs. There was an old Kindle receiver that was all knobs, had an auxiliary and a phono and a cassette input. So I would run the cassette deck, I would run the turntable, and I would mix and scratch along, but I used to have to turn the knob if I wanted to scratch and turn the sound on and off. So I had these like blisters cracking on my hand. But anyways, like to answer your question, that's pretty much what inspired me to DJ, was just hearing those mixtapes, and then seeing it live, like, as a young kid. So, which is kind of cool as well. I think just, I mean, one thing that I can say, I mean, not just for DJs, but for all musicians and anyone that's doing, you know, anything artistic and trying to earn at it. I mean, you're definitely going to have highs and lows. I mean, I remember a period where the one that stands out to answer your question the most is when Julio and I were doing radio. I mean, at the height of the beat, when we were doing 92.3, I mean, our biggest competitor at the time was Power 106. You know, they were kind of the hip-hop station. We were more kind of the urban station. We were playing more R&B. But at the time, like, we were giving them a real run for the money. And I want to say we even passed them for a couple, they call them books in the radio industry. But we actually took the #1 spot from them. So Julio and I had a really, really nice long run at the beat. We were there from, he was there before me, of course, but I was there with Julio from 96 to 2001. And you know, things changed over the course of the years. The corporation that owned the beat was Clear Channel, and that was when that was at the height. That was when the beat was at its peak, you know. And then I never really got involved on the administrative side. I would just kind of show up and do my mix show and run with Julio, you know. But he used to always filter down whatever updates were coming from the top, you know, and let me know what was going on. So another corporation, Clear Channel, actually sold the beat and like 300 other stations or something to another corporation called Radio One, and they had a different vision. You know, they wanted to do things differently, and I just remember being there and just feeling like it really wasn't for me. At that point, I had been doing it a long time, so I actually decided to just kind of hang up the mix show headphones, so to speak, and just like, I'm good, you know what I mean? I did this for nearly 7 years, like whatever. But I didn't really think it out too well because it's not like I had another radio gig to go do. You know, I didn't really have anything else lined up. So, and like everybody else, you know, I had expenses. So that was a really rough time. I mean, I didn't have any jobs. I was kind of relying on just like, I was gig to gig basically, you know, and I had bought a house like some years before that. So I had a mortgage note. I had all those related expenses with utilities. So yeah, that was a rough time. It was stressful, you know. I was in probably my late 20s, 26, 27, around there. And, you know, I was without work. I mean, a consistent gig for probably the better part of a year and a half or 2 years. And like I said, I mean, fortunately for me, I was doing a couple clubs like here and there. And then I was also doing with the Junkies and sometimes solo, a pretty fair share of traveling, you know, domestically and internationally, doing showcase style events. And I really just kind of hustled. I remember hustling during that time, and that was when, you know, I really just buckled down the studio and cranked out some mixtapes, mix CDs. Those were still valuable commodities at the time. You know what I mean? We were selling them up at Fat Beats, up at Amoeba. You know what I mean? I was fortunate to come in contact with some distributors that would distribute that kind of product across the country. So I just kind of made ends meet, you know, between all those outlets. But it was never easy. I remember it was just, you know, there'd be some months where I was like, I barely scraped by. You know, some months where I had some extra money to actually go out and do some fun stuff, you know, but yeah, I mean, there were definitely moments, it hasn't been an easy ride. There were definitely moments where it was just like, oh man, I was sweating it, you know. So yeah, but you managed to, you know, just kind of rise above, you know, when your heart's really in it and when you put the work in, you know, and you stay focused.
You say hello, you know, say hi, how you doing, introduce yourself, have somebody if they need a drink. Do you need a drink? For free, not for free, but feels good.
That was work right there. What do you have to do? Sangria on the computer.
Oh, all over here, dude. What the fuck? It was that amazing.
That's a wrap.